Our top story today, workers on strike. That's the scene at Fort Wayne's GM Assembly this morning.
It comes as contract negotiations with the United Auto Workers Union failed last night. Wayne 15's Michael Kuhn has been following the situation all morning. He joins us live from the assembly plant. Michael, what's the atmosphere like out there?
Well, Pat and Alyssa, dozens of workers and UAW members have gathered at each one of the plant's exits here in Fort Wayne in a show of solidarity with all the other GM workers across the country. Things are pretty quiet right now besides the occasional passing car, but just a few hours ago, it was a much different story. The sound of loud cheers and car horns filled the night air as thousands of third-shift workers walked off the assembly line. It came when the clock struck midnight, just seconds after the contract between the UAW and GM expired.
The talks broke down, and when the talks break down, it usually leads to a strike. Rich
Letourneau is the bargaining chairman for UAW Local 2209. He says the main issues surrounding the strike include wage discrepancies, healthcare fees, and the closure of multiple plants around the U.S.
These people come home every night physically beat up from these jobs. You know, they deserve decent wages, they deserve good health care, because these jobs beat them up.
Steve Banaka is one of those people. He's worked at the Fort Wayne GM plant since 2000 and says fair treatment of temporary workers is another big issue for him.
Some have been in there for 8 years, doing the same job, making half the pay, no benefits, no vacation, afraid to miss one day or they're fired. That kind of atmosphere is not good in our plant.
Although he's not a temp, he says the passion for unity still burns among his fellow UAW members.
As long as we just stick together, as a group, our voices will be heard a lot louder than, singled out. So we're trying to stick together in solidarity and hope for the best for all our brothers and sisters.
Close to 4,000 workers are now on strike at the Fort Wayne plant alone. It's something Letourneau says he wishes could have been avoided, but they were left with no choice.
And people have to be General Motors' #1 asset. In some ways, it doesn't seem like they are. And these people feel that, that they're not their #1 asset anymore, because people should be their #1 asset.
Letourneau says leaders from GM and the UAW will be back at the bargaining table later this morning, starting at about 10 o'clock. He's hopeful that they can reach a deal that'll get all the workers behind me and the ones watching at home back to work. Live at the Fort Wayne GM Assembly, Michael Kuhn, Wayne 15 News.